Hi, my name is JC Smith. I'm the Executive Director of Teacher and Leadership Development at the Oklahoma State Department of Education. For the past 3 years in this role at the State Department, I've had the opportunity to work with cohorts across the state to enhance and build skills necessary to improve student achievement. Another part of my job is overseeing the Teacher and Leader Effectiveness Evaluation System, which is what I would like to visit with you about today. So I'll take just a moment and I will share my screen so that you are able to see the PowerPoint that goes along with this presentation. There are currently 5 evaluation systems which have been approved for use in Oklahoma by the State Board of Education. Districts have local control in Oklahoma over many of our educational decisions, and district superintendents and local school boards understand the unique needs of their community, and local control provides them with the opportunity to meet those needs. One area in which districts have this control is in determining which of these 5 evaluation systems best meets the needs of their schools. Although these 5 models have been approved for use in Oklahoma, only 3 have been selected by districts for use in their schools. These are the Marzano models, the Tulsa model, and the McCrell model. The McCrell model is actually a leadership evaluation model that is used by many of the Tulsa model schools. Currently, there are 2 sets of Marzano evaluation models used by districts in the state. One is the original 2014 version of the Marzano model. The other is the Marzano focused model. 22 districts used the 2014 version last school year, and 12 districts used the Marzano focused. Now, iObservation, the sole source provider for Marzano evaluation training in Oklahoma, is actually in the process of transitioning all of the Marzano districts over to the Marzano focused model. They're doing that within the next year. So we are just going to focus today on the Marzano focused teacher rubric instead of looking at the 2014 version. The Marzano model, the original version, it was actually developed to be a professional development model with 60 indicators or 60 areas in which a person was to be evaluated. The focus model basically took the 60 indicators and streamlined them, deleting the repetition within down to 23 indicators, which is much more manageable for the person being evaluated as well as for the evaluator. Now, the Tulsa model is used by over 450 school districts in Oklahoma. It's divided into several district role-specific rubrics. It's important that you're evaluated using the correct rubric. In many school districts, people have multiple responsibilities within the building, especially our smaller districts. If you split your day between multiple duties, you should be evaluated using the model that best fits the job that takes the majority of your day. For instance, if you're an English teacher who is also a library media specialist, your evaluator would look at the amount of time spent in each job classification. If you're teaching English the majority of the day, you would be evaluated using the teacher rubric. If you're the librarian, but you teach 2 periods of English due to overloaded classes, you should be evaluated using the rubric for the media specialist. In TLE, regardless of the rubric that you're using, you fall into one of 2 categories. You are either a probationary educator or you're a career educator. If you're a probationary educator, your evaluator will come to your classroom and conduct an observation once during the first 9 weeks, once during the second 9 weeks, and again during the third 9 weeks. You will have face-to-face feedback conferences after each of the observations. Now, during the fourth 9 weeks, you will meet with your evaluator for your annual evaluation. The evaluation is based on the observations plus other information that was gained throughout the year. Once you reach career status, after 4 years of being in one district, you will be observed once in the fall and once in the spring. You will have a face-to-face observation conference with your evaluator after each of these observations, and your annual evaluation will occur after your second observation. Many evaluators actually choose to conduct the second observation conference and the evaluation conference at the same meeting. Evaluators may choose to observe your classroom more often. This may be done because they want to provide you additional support, or maybe they were unable to observe one of the rubric requirements last time they were in your room, so they want to drop back in. Evaluators, who are often principals and assistant principals, often conduct classroom walkthroughs. Walkthroughs are not part of the evaluation. They really just give the assistant principals and principals insight into what's going on in the building, the ability for them to go into the classroom and see the students, see the teachers, and be a part of the culture. Again, walkthroughs do not count as part of your evaluation. So let's look at observation requirements. So first of all, you will have a pre-conference prior to your classroom observation. This pre-conference may be conducted in a faculty meeting setting, or it could be in a PLC, a department meeting, a grade level meeting, or even in a one-on-one setting with your evaluator. The pre-conferences are really determined by the evaluator. When I was a principal, I would conduct the first pre-conference meeting in a faculty meeting. That's when I would give everyone the overview for the school year, talk about any changes to the evaluation that may have occurred since the previous year. And also, I would tell them the specifics that we were looking for over the course of the year when we were coming into the rooms. I wanted to do this as a large group because then everyone heard the same thing at the same time from me, and we were able to answer questions during that time so that everyone was on the same page. Now, if I had something I needed to speak with someone about specifically that would be going on in their room, I would do that in a one-on-one setting. So it really depends on the evaluator and the situation. Your evaluator will come into your classroom and observe for at least 20 minutes. I always tried to stay for a full class period so that I could see the entire lesson from the opening all the way to the closing pieces. But that's not always possible. But it is required that they're in there for a full 20 minutes minimum. After your conference, your observation, you will have a conference with your evaluator. During this post-conference, your evaluator will provide you with actionable feedback that you can use in your classroom. Now remember that the evaluation process is a vehicle for improvement. This is a great time for you to ask questions of your evaluator. Your post-conference must take place within 5 instructional days of the observation. So instructional days where you have students in the building. So of course, weekends aren't going to count. Holidays where you're off won't count. And parent-teacher conferences where you're at work, but the kids aren't there for instruction, those don't count in the 5 instructional days. You also have to have 10 instructional days between observations. The purpose of this is for you to receive your observation feedback in your conference and be able to put those new strategies or suggested strategies in place before the evaluator comes back in to observe the next time. So let's look at the Marzano focused teacher model first. As I mentioned, this has been consolidated from the original model down to 23 elements to be evaluated. The focused model calls their main areas elements. So you will be evaluated under 23 elements if you use this model. What I really like about this model is the 23 elements are each divided up where you will have more information, such as planning evidence. You will have implementation evidence and this rubric that is specific to that element on each page of this form that you're going to receive from me, the Marzano Success Map. I really like this document and I wanted you to have a copy of it. So looking at it specifically, the planning evidence section gives examples of what the teacher should be including in the lesson plan to meet the requirements of effective teaching according to this rubric. For example, when thinking about what I wanted to cover for a week when I was teaching English, I would have referred to this section to make sure that my lesson plans included how I would be incorporating technology into the lesson and which nonfiction texts the students would be working with for the week. Now, I'm not going to put all of these suggestions in every single lesson that I'm doing. That's way too much. These are just suggestions for you to see the possibilities that fall under this element. Use this as a guide. So, if I were a teacher, I would really be paying attention to making sure that I understood what's expected of me in this area. And on the other hand, if I were still going into classrooms and evaluating under this model, I would make sure that I was familiar with this before I went in so that I had an idea of what I can expect to see in the classroom. The implementation evidence shows what the class should look like once our lesson plans are actually implemented. For instance, in this element, the daily work in the classroom should include students using digital resources that are aligned to the grade level standards and resources used in the class, including those specific to our students' culture. Again, I'm not incorporating every example given in this sample into my class period. These are just suggestions that lead to effective teaching according to the rubric. Speaking of the rubric, here's the example for this element. Throughout the rubric, you're going to have 5 levels, 5 tiers in which your evaluation could fall. On the Marzano focused model, the tiers range from a 0 to a 4. 0 being not using, a 1 is you're beginning to use this, 2 is it's developing, 3 is applying, and 4 is innovating. In this rubric, you want your lessons to be a 3 or a 4. A 3 meets all of the qualifications for good teaching. A 4 goes above and beyond. So you want to focus on achieving at least a 3 in every element in which you're evaluated. Now, most districts, as I mentioned before, in the state use the Tulsa model rubric. In this rubric, there are 20 indicators in which you will be evaluated. As with the Marzano rubric, the strategies for instruction that lead to increased student achievement occur in that 3rd level. This rubric is also set on a 5-point tiered scale, except this one starts with 1 and goes to 5. 1 being ineffective, 2 needs improvement, 3 effective, 4 is highly effective, and 5 is a superior category. Just like with the Marzano model, you want to be in the effective category. Anything above that is wonderful, but you're shooting for the effective category. Now, unlike the Marzano model, the Tulsa model does not provide specific examples for what lesson plans would look like and specific examples of what those plans would look like actually being utilized in the classroom. So regardless of the model that you're using, I really want you to have both rubrics, because if I were still in the building, I would be using the Marzano rubric as a resource for me to see what I could do in the classroom to meet the needs of my Tulsa model rubric. Both of these rubrics follow the standards of good teaching. So what you find in one, you will find in the other one. You can crosswalk them. So you can find great examples in either rubric of what you're using. So I would use them as a resource. At this time, I would like to pause the recording. I would like you to take a few minutes to open the links, if you haven't already done so, to look at the Marzano Focus Teacher rubric and the Tulsa Teacher rubric. Look over those. See if you have any questions about them before we move into the next section. The next section does rely on that rubric, so you do need to be familiar. I will stop the sharing at this time, pause the recording, take a few minutes, look over those rubrics, and I'll join you again shortly. Hopefully you had a few minutes to look over those two rubrics. If you have any questions, please make sure that you're emailing me about those. I will be sharing my contact at the end of this presentation. At this time, I am going to share my screen again so that you are able to see the PowerPoint. The next part of the TLE is the professional learning focus. The professional learning focus is actually a component of the evaluation system that is new to everyone in the state, at least new the last 2 years. So I want to visit with you a little bit about that. We can classify professional learning into 2 areas, compliance-based or performance-based. If you notice the activities under compliance base, while important and containing pertinent information, these are actually examples of required trainings that take place every year, usually during the in-service days when teachers meet just before school begins. For many teachers, these are repetitive experiences that rarely change and have minimal impact on professional growth. The type of professional learning that we tend to look forward to the most are the performance-based. These activities align with our mission as professionals. They help us grow in our classrooms, which in turn helps our students grow. And these are the activities that recharge our batteries and make us want to become better. Performance-based professional learning looks a little different for each of us. Just like our students, we all learn in different ways, and we all have particular areas of professional learning that really speaks to us. As professionals, we need to have a larger voice in our own individualized professional learning. And that's where the professional learning focus comes in. The professional learning focus, or PL focus as it's more commonly called, was actually introduced in House Bill 2957 back in 2016. The PL focus allows educators the opportunity to determine what professional development they need in their classroom for their students in order to increase student achievement. House Bill 2957 focuses on growing and improving our teachers and leaders. The language in House Bill 2957 calls for a policy shift in professional development at the district level, focusing on an individualized program of professional development, which aligns professional learning with the components of your evaluation through the TLE, your rubric, which is why you need to be familiar with that document. The PL focus is meant to be a collaborative process. It's led by the individual being evaluated. And this means that the PL focus topic should not be decided by the evaluator. The topic is yours to come up with. But you should discuss this with your evaluator and mutually agree upon the topic and the resources that are needed for you to achieve that goal. Your PL focus topic must align with one of the elements or indicators on your TLE evaluation rubric. Your selected topic should be evidence-based with research practices that are correlated to an increased student achievement. Now, since all of the TLE frameworks, whether you're using the Marzano-focused or the Tulsa model, since these emphasize key traits of effective teaching and leading, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to pair your PL focus goal with one of the elements or indicators from the evaluation rubric. There are many wonderful resources available through the State Department website. Check out the curriculum and instruction page on the OSDE website. It is updated regularly with great resources, and these can be used for PL focus. Now, at the beginning of the school year, your principals should discuss the TLE and the PL focus with everyone. Sometimes this occurs, as I mentioned, with the pre-conference in a large faculty meeting, or maybe that small PLC department or grade level meeting. If you have questions about the PL focus, this is a great time to ask. The only deadline that we have at the state level for the PL focus is that it must be established by the end of the first quarter of your school year. Now, established means that you've selected your PL focus topic, you've met with your evaluator to discuss the topic, the evaluator agrees that the topic meets one of the components of your evaluation, and the resources that you plan to use are available. They're research-based and they promote student achievement. The reason that you have 9 weeks to establish your PL focus is that this gives you time to understand the needs of the students in your classroom and determine what new strategies you need to help them be more successful. You and your evaluator will meet at least one time beyond the establishment of your PL focus to discuss your progress. The evaluator may ask you how you implemented that new strategy in the classroom. How did the new strategy work with your students? Have you seen achievement because of the new strategies you're using based on the PL focus? All of these are really common questions that the evaluator may ask during that review period. At the end of the school year, the PL focus document that you and your evaluator work on will actually be attached to your evaluation, and it becomes part of that personnel record. The PL focus is that component of your evaluation, but there's no score that's associated with it. And there's no time that is required that you spend on the resource, meaning you may attend one seminar for an hour and you may gain wonderful resources from that and take that back and utilize that in your classroom as your PL focus resource. But you may also take a college course, and that college course, if it directly ties to what you're teaching in your classroom, could be your PL focus resource. So there's not a specific time that's required for the resource. It's the product that we're looking at. It's you bringing the resource back, using it in the classroom, and the effect that it has in the classroom on student achievement. The focus is on you and your growth and adding new strategies to your educational toolbox. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we implemented the PL focus just a couple of years ago. So this is fairly new to everyone in the state. And I still receive phone calls and emails from people asking questions. So here are some of the answers to the questions that I hear the most often. The number one question that I hear is about who's responsible for determining the PL focus goal. And as I've mentioned multiple times, you are responsible for determining your PL focus goal. You do this in collaboration with your evaluator, but it's your goal. Your evaluator may have to help with additional resources, but the idea behind what you need is your determination. The PL focus must be completed annually, regardless of exemption status. Once you reach career status, so after 4 years in one building, Then if you score over a 3.8 on your overall district evaluation, which would put you in the highly effective category, if you score over a 3.8, your district may consider you exempt from the qualitative part of the evaluation for up to 2 years. But you still do a PL focus every year. The PL focus can be a multi-year learning opportunity. For instance, I was an English teacher, and one of the things that I could really see trying to get more information about is new literacy strategies. So if this year my PL focus was new literacy strategies, and that was working really well in my classroom, but next year I wanted to add even more, that could be my PL focus again next year. Of course, I would need new documentation, I would need new resources, and new strategies brought into the classroom, but the overall topic could be the same. The other side of the coin is true as well. Let's say I pick a PL focused topic, but once I start working on it, I realize that's not what my students need, and that's not what I need. I need a different topic. You can change your PL focused topic at any point during the school year. I suggest the spring may be a little bit too late, but you can change at any point. To do that, go back and visit with your evaluator again. Explain why you want to make the change and start the documentation process over. Again, there is no rating that goes with PL focus. The rating is on the qualitative part of your evaluation. PL focus is to build your strategies and your educational toolbox to help your students. And every certified educator in the district, except for the district superintendent, has a PL focus every year. The reason the district superintendent does not is because he or she is not evaluated under one of the TLE models. He or she is evaluated by their local board, which is a completely different evaluation system. So, you may be wondering what the most popular PL focused topics have been recently. In the Tulsa teacher model for 2018-2019, the top 3 indicators selected for PL focus was discipline, closely followed by explains content, and then involves learners. In 2018-2019, we had some districts that were using the Marzano original model and some that were using the Marzano focused model. So I combined those two to give you this information. So the Marzano teacher models for 2018-2019, the number 1 element selected was tracking progress. The second most common was using data, and the third was planning lessons. Remember to utilize the people and the programs that are available around you for PL focus. We have amazing people in our buildings. You may be new to your building, so you may not realize the wealth of information and the wealth of resources that you have available. Talk to the people around you. Talk to your evaluator. You may be able to actually go into another classroom and use a peer observation as part of your resources for PL focus. So look around you. Don't discount the people in your building or the people in the building down the road. They are wonderful, wonderful resources. And remember, you're not alone. Everyone in the state that's in education, a certified educator, except for your district superintendent, is doing a PL focus. And I'm going to give you my contact information. So you are welcome to contact me at any time. I will help you with your PL focus, TLE, or other questions you may have, and you just don't know who to call. If I don't know the answer, I'll help you find the answer. Here are the resources. If you were unable to access the links that were provided on the informational sheet from Dr. Nelson at UCO, these links on the resource page will also take you to the Marzano Success Map, which is the focused teacher model, and the Tulsa teacher model as well. Here is my contact information. My email or my office phone number is a great way to reach me. So my email is jc.smith@sde.ok.gov. My office number is 405-522-0282. At this time, if you will look at the informational page that Dr. Nelson had emailed to you prior to this session, you will find a link to a Google form. On the Google form, there are questions that I would like you to answer to complete this piece of the session for our jump school. Congratulations on entering into education. It is such a fulfilling role, and we are happy to have you. Again, if you have any questions, please contact me. I'll be happy to help. Have a nice day.